going to day two? I know Cowboy has kept continue to testify. What did he have to say?
Yeah, they brought him back, and I just think that the reason he was on the stand still was the defense attorney was trying to impeach some of his previous testimony from day one, basically trying to catch him in some contradictions. And I think the main thing was that the defense attorney listened to an interview that he gave on YouTube and noticed that he had said something about the incident that he had never said before. He didn't say it on day one of his testimony. He didn't say it at the grand jury. And that was a statement that he said that Nip made to himself when he saw Eric Holder pull up. Apparently Nip said to himself, I wonder how this is gonna play out. So the defense attorney questioned him about that interview and said, how come you never told the grand jury Nip said that? How come you didn't even tell us yesterday when you were on the stand? And he just basically said, hey, I didn't remember.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. What were your thoughts about that? Do you think do you think he's adding, extra sauce to his story, or maybe he's just remembering it now and just?
No, I think Cowboy comes off very sincere, but we all have different abilities of trying to remember. So I think it's just a matter of trying to remember what happened 3 years ago. And I'm sure his thinking is sometimes clouded. And that's all I think it is. And that statement might be important because if Nip did say, I wonder how this is going to play out, it kind of suggests that there's some possible drama with Eric Holder pulling up. How is this going to play out? So that's up for y'all to try to interpret, what did Nip mean by saying that?
Correct. Right. Who was the other witnesses that testified today at day two?
Let's see. After Herman Douglas, aka Cowboy, they went on to this young brother named Christian Johnson. He was a guy that he's originally from Inglewood. He's not from the area of Slauson and Crenshaw. He doesn't know anyone there, but he had stopped off there to buy some food at Master Burger. And he went into the Master Burger and they got, here's another camera angle that we didn't know about, Master Burger camera angle. The Master Burger camera angle is from inside of the store, but it points to the outside. So you can see the sidewalk outside Master Burger with this camera, and you can see everything inside the lobby of Master Burger. And they showed video footage of Christian Johnson standing there ordering his food. And then you see Eric Holder in there also. And at that time, Eric Holder has no shirt on. He's got a bandana tied around his neck. And that's the main way that they're identifying him at this point, because he does leave and he puts his shirt on and comes back. But at this point, he has no shirt on. He has no shirt on since he has arrived at the Marathon parking lot. So Christian Johnson started to talk about ordering his food, noticing Nipsey Hussle, and they show footage of him standing in the lobby looking outside. They asked him, what were you looking at? And he said, I was trying to get a couple of glimpses of Nipsey Hussle. They asked him, did you want to go out there and meet him? And he said, I did want to meet him, but he looked like he was busy, so I didn't bother. And then he testifies about hearing the gunshots. So right when he's waiting for his food is when that shooting occurs.
Wow. Crazy. The next witness after that?
The next witness after that would have been a LAPD officer named Scott Tubert. Scott Tubert, Teubert. And basically his job, he worked for South Bureau Homicide in intel gathering. Intel gathering meaning he goes out there and he searches for all possible surveillance videos, any sort of closed caption videos, any sort of ring videos, anything that he can find. And his job is to go out there and collect as many camera angles as he can. And then of course the process of then physically downloading the videos from the businesses, because that's a process too, of actually getting possession of those videos. So he talked about getting the camera angles from the Shell gas station, which is the angle that most of us have already seen. And they're calling that angle number 6. That's called camera number 6 for whatever reason. It's a weird numbering. There are 3 camera angles from the Shell gas station. They're called 6, 5, and 21. And the one that shows the Marathon parking lot is camera 6.
Okay.
I'll also throw in that all of Shell's cameras, and I know all the conspiracy theorists are going to think something big about this, but all of the Shell's cameras did not have the true time. They didn't have the true time. They were 67 minutes behind.
Okay.
So they had to make some adjustments to get the accurate time to the cameras. And I don't really see that as an issue that and this is for all 3 cameras. All 3 cameras were off by the same amount of minutes, 67 minutes. But I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to think that there's something fishy with the Shell cameras. They're 67 minutes off.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all that Officer Scott Tubert had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, there was no cross-examination of Eric Holder's attorney to the LAPD officer, and there was no cross-examination to Christian Johnson of the defense attorney. He said, I had no questions. I also would like to add, when Christian Johnson was testifying, he got pretty emotional up there when they started asking him about the gunshots, and then he actually stood up and he saw Nip laying there and he started to cry. They had to, take a break from court and tell the jury to go away, and so he can get his, get his stuff together. And I felt it. I really felt that this guy was really feeling it. I really felt his pain while he's trying to remember that day in Masterburger, hearing the gunshots and then seeing Nipsey laid on the ground.
That's something that I wanted to ask you. And how does that make you feel? Like knowing Nipsey and all these things that are happening. This is someone that you knew that was tragically killed. And like, how does that make you feel? Like, are you just processing it? Like, how are you processing it?
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is I knew Nipsey early on in his career, when he had his mixtapes out before he blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Near the last, 5, 6, 7 years of his career, I didn't really have a relationship with him. But going back to 2007 to about 2011 or 12, I knew Nip. And, even for me knowing him in that limited capacity, when they the first exhibit that the prosecution put up there was a photo of Nip. And it was a photo of him smiling with his beard perfectly groomed, with that perfect shine on it. Mm. And as soon as I put that picture up there, I got a little bit of chills, because it was like he came to life for a moment, because he had this huge smile. Exhibit number 1 for everybody that's going to do their research. It's a beautiful photo of him. And I got some chills at that moment. But then when I heard Christian Johnson testify, I felt his pain. I was getting a little emotional on the inside. I was like, wow, this is gut wrenching, because the guy was bawling up there, literally, and the judge had to take a break. And I went through a similar situation where I actually witnessed a guy get shot by the LAPD, an unarmed guy got shot by the LAPD, and I had recorded it. And several years later, I had to go to court because it became a lawsuit with the LAPD. I didn't even know who this guy was. I never met this guy that I recorded his last breaths. I saw this guy die right in front of me. And this happened in 2008, but they went to trial on this case like 5 years later. And when I got on the stand recounting what I saw, I got emotional up there too. I didn't get as emotional as Christian did, but I felt what Christian was going through, because I've been through that same thing, recalling seeing someone die right in front of you. It is a little traumatic. And Christian, he was right there. He was at the Masterburger. He came out, and what does he see when he walks out? he sees Nipsey Hussle just laid out from gunshot wounds. So I felt this pain. So it's only day 2 of this trial or day 2 of testimony, and I felt it on the inside 2 times already.
Are you prepared to see the other things, like as far as, because supposedly they'll show his autopsy photos? I mean,
I can tell you this: when they show an autopsy photo, I'm probably going to shed a tear. I'm probably going to shed a tear, no doubt about it. It's happened to me before, so that's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough to see his body up there on the screen.
Right. Let's try to. Can you tell us the next witness after that?
The next witness was this young lady named Danae Wright. She was the one. If you're looking at camera 6 from the Shell gas station, you'll notice a dark car that's parked in the middle of the parking lot because there's no spaces at this time, and that's her. And I guess I'm really not sure of what value she brought to the trial, but she basically testified that she was a witness of the shooting.
Right.
And that you see her get out the car, run frantically, then run back to the car. And
all of a sudden remember there was kids in the car.
She actually had 2 kids in the car. We don't know the ages of those kids, but she did. I guess she ran out of the car with those 2 kids in there. But then she quickly came back. And I think the prosecutor characterized her actions as just being confused and nervous and not knowing what to do because you're just hearing gunshots, you know? So they brought her in, and she said she knew Nipsey, but she never knew Eric Holder. And that's pretty much it. She was on the stand very briefly, and the defense attorney didn't have any questions for her on cross-examination either. We learned something new today. You're talking about Kerry Latham?
Yeah.
AKA Cousin Kerry.
Hold on, let me, because I just saw it on TMZ.
Well, TMZ, we don't know for sure, because what we learned today from his testimony is that he had suffered a stroke after the shooting. He suffered what he called a right side brain stroke.
Oh, okay.
And that stroke has rendered him in a wheelchair. And I don't know if he's a paraplegic or not, but he did come in in a wheelchair. He does look like he's in some real serious condition. And even projecting and speaking was very low and slow. So yeah, he suffered a stroke after that shooting, but we don't know. There was no testimony if that stroke was directly related to him getting shot in the back by Eric Holder. Defense showed a video of him after the shooting when he looked very healthy and very strong. It's on YouTube somewhere. And he asked if this was before you had the stroke. And he basically, actually, he says, I don't know. They asked him, did you have the stroke? We know that the grand jury testimony, when he came to the grand jury, that he didn't have the stroke.
Okay.
He wasn't in a wheelchair during the grand jury. But they asked him that, and he says, I don't remember.
Right.
So he didn't want to answer anything.
Yeah, it seems like Kerry today, just in day 2, he just wasted everybody's time.
He did, actually.
He didn't answer anything.
But I think that his presence definitely helps the prosecution, because it does look like he's suffering health-wise, and you could possibly link the stroke to him getting shot, but I don't know. But the image of this man in a wheelchair testifying there is definitely powerful for the prosecution.
Now he has some history to him as well. Is he has some gang-related ties or something? So I think there's a big reason why he's uncooperative. No?
I mean, he's tied into the same neighborhood as Nip is.
Right.
And they did bring up his past. He was convicted of murder in 1996, and he was released from prison from that homicide in 2018.
Right.
So he spent, 22 years?
Yeah.
He spent 22 years in prison. He got out in September of 2018. So, you know, him getting shot in March of 2019 was just a few months after him being released from prison after serving over 20 years.